Hey,
So,
it's us. Hey.
so we are not here at 7 o'clock. We thought we wanted to break our current world record of half
the
an hour
latest
late.
time we can possibly come.
Oh, we've actually started later than this before, but this is the latest we've come since having an official schedule.
Yeah, I think this is pretty late for us though. So that's always fun.
The latest we've started is 9, so we're still actually shy of that.
Good for us. We're killing it, dude. I just want to make sure.
But we were
Microphone.
actually intending to go at 7 o'clock today, and, you know, we were going to play Portal 2.
Yeah,
we had a plan. Plan didn't happen.
Yeah, more or less. It wasn't, like, luckily today, I'm glad it wasn't because I was so frustrating on
You were so frustrating.
Tuesday. I am so frustrating constantly. On Tuesday is really frustrating with all the mic issues and the internet problems. Today our internet did go out for a short period of time, but didn't, like, affect our stream.
Our dad sweared at it, and it went back.
Yeah, he fixed it. He was just kind of, like, mad, and it was like, alright, chill. I'll fix myself. Got it. Today I have the exciting... What turtleneck is she wearing? It's the yellow one. Ridley, hey!
What's up? We're here a bit late.
We're here a bit late, and by that
Thank
we
you for
mean
being
an
here.
hour and 45 minutes late. And
It's pretty much 2 hours.
our plans are derailed. We're not going to do Portal 2 tonight because
Yes, we are aware. It's very late.
yeah, we're so sorry.
Thank you for showing up, though.
Excuse me. But yeah, tonight we're just going to talk for a little bit. So it's a good chill stream because I know sometimes you like to sleep. So if any part
Sleep
you
is
fall
good.
asleep, that's okay because tonight's it's a good one to sleep to. 'Cause
We're
we're not gonna be yelling at the game. We're not gonna be playing.
We're just yelling at each other.
Yeah, yelling at each other, yelling at the void. You know. So thank you for being here. I'm glad I didn't know if you were gonna come tonight or not. I was worried because it was like, if we start late, it's gonna be so late and they're not gonna be able to stay up. And I feel bad because I know you're in a different time zone. So it's good to see you still.
No, but we're kind of doing a test run thing, so we're going to try and do new segment thingy that Malin had and I did.
Yeah,
last.
so I'm thinking we've been kind of our content kind of thing has been weird because we're stuck in this stage where we like to talk, if you can't tell. So when we watch stuff and when we play stuff, we find ourselves like when we were done streaming, like talking upstairs in our room for like 4 more hours. I'm like, this is all
He says
stuff
he's
like
6 or 7 hours ahead of us. I don't know. We should look that up.
I think so because we're in Germany, right?
Yeah.
Because I know London is 5 hours ahead.
Because we're
on the East Coast. We're on Eastern Standard Time. I can look it up, but
I've been noting put that in our advertisements, like EST.
Yeah, I was like, I made sure to do that. So if you just look up general, I can spell it.
Can you spell?
It's giving me Germany, Pennsylvania. No, I want just the country,
Germany,
please.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, there's apparently a bunch of cities called Germany in America, which I think is stupid.
Did America steal everything from every other country?
What's a German town or city?
I don't know.
And normally
What's the capital of Germany, Malin? You learned that in school once, right?
No. So if I looked up just like Berlin, which is I feel like just a general, I put on my official clocks thing. I have on my clocks. I have Los Angeles, which is in California, so it's 3 hours behind.
The country?
I wish I could have, but I put it on my clocks thing because we used to live in California many years ago, so it's 3 hours behind. And then I have Seoul from South Korea, and that's 14 hours ahead. And then I have Tucson, Arizona, because I had a class when my professor was in Arizona, so I went to the classes. They're 2 hours behind, so I had to go to classes 2 hours like out of our time zone because we went by his time zone. So I had that, so I can set my alarms to that. And then now I have Berlin on here, which is tomorrow, 6 hours ahead. It says 2:48 p.m. So very late. Very late.
All right.
Yeah, but back to the idea is we want to I think we're going to make our Tuesday slot into Talking Tuesdays. Talking Tuesdays.
You decided against Talking Thursdays?
Talking Thursdays was okay, but Talking Tuesday just kind of like down because Taco
You just don't want to do another day, do you?
No, I think we can add on another day, but I think Tuesday's a good talking day because Talking Tuesday rolls off the tongue better than Talking Thursday. We can game Thursday, Friday, so we have 2 consecutive gaming days, but Tuesdays are going to be our day for just, we may open cards, but mostly we're going to be just chatting. Cards. We have a lot of cards.
So many cards.
We have at least 1,000, I think.
Yeah.
In boxes waiting to be opened. Not 1,000 boxes, 1,000 probably total cards.
Because each of them is 16 times 10, that's 160.
Yeah, 160, and we have, I think, 10 or so boxes.
Probably.
So we have a good amount.
More cards.
But I think Tuesday's a good day because way back in the pandemic, when I hadn't graduated school yet.
Back when the world was different.
Yeah, because I only graduated college this past December. So I haven't been out for that long. I was talking about, like, we could make a podcast kind of thing because all of our lives, our family, friends, or people we were, like, babysitting their kids, always commented that we sound a lot like a radio show because we grew up essentially as twins, even though we're 2 years apart. Or we've done
That's boring if you don't have a sibling. I feel bad for single children.
Pretty much. We're very much did everything together just because we're in, like, a very similar age bracket. And a lot of times when we were moving places, we were the only two that were in, like, the same school at the same time. Like, our younger sister was 7 years younger than me, 9 years younger than her. So it's, like, it's very...
Good math right there.
Thank you. So, like, she would be in a completely different system, but we might have been in middle school at the same time. Or we might have been at high school at the same time. Meanwhile, her and my younger brother were never even close to the same schools. Like, she'd be in preschool, he'd be in
Plus, he's
elementary.
also a male.
Yeah,
so...
he's also a boy and a turd.
Brothers and sisters very rarely are on the same level.
Yeah, so what people used to always say, like, we sound like a radio show. And I was like, well, why don't we make some sort of podcast sort of thing? And just the logistics always got away. Like, I researched stuff and all that things, but after a while, I'd be like, it was so much effort to try and find microphones and lightings and all this junk. And then, luckily, our brother, who did, podcasts, that's the thing. Like,
this is essentially our podcast. It's our podcast with video.
So he, like, gave us one of his old microphones. He has, like, XLR, like, I looked on all these things. He has, like, XLR cables. He's got, like, puff guards or whatever, pop filters, all the different things. And he's got, like, the thing. I'm like, I am not an audio person. I'll say that. As a media student,
our brother is, but we're not.
Never an audio person. I'm a very visual person.
It's kind of like you have to have an eye for art. You have to have an ear for sound.
Exactly.
And that's not our area. Our area is visuals.
The eye for art. So because I took a lot of production classes in my media courses, and, like, audio is not my thing. So it's like, I don't want to mess with cable. So we got this. So now I think we can kind of slowly delve into the podcast in kind of a weird roundabout way. On Tuesdays, I feel like Tuesday's a good day where we can just come on here. We'll inevitably be running late anyways, because she doesn't get off of work till late. On Friday, she gets off of work earlier. So
which is why this whole conversation happening now is ironic.
It's a little easier.
This wasn't intended for tonight. This was intended for Tuesday.
No, we went out. We had to go to some stores and stuff. Our dad had to print some stuff for his job.
We went out to eat, which was nice.
Yeah,
but
we got some dinner.
It's raining.
Nice. It is raining very hard outside, and it's dark and it's cold.
We didn't even get food until like 8 o'clock. So
and then it took us we were half an hour away, so it's a long thing. Yeah, but Tuesdays I think is gonna be a good time for us to just sit down and kind of bleh, And we have a couple topics. I think some are fun. I have this one I saw on TikTok that is we're gonna do it soon. It's a presentation of characters you are unashamedly attracted to. And I love that idea because, as we know, I very easily get attracted to characters. Mm-hmm. Especially ones with that certain eye shape. They got those angry eyes. I'm in love with you.
I would have to listen to things.
So we're gonna do like fun stuff like that. Like today we want to talk a little bit about Pokemon, but like Evie obviously wants to talk, and I would love to talk a lot more about Has Been Hotel.
Because we actually realized as soon as we got off the stream, we were dying on Tuesday because bad internet, tech problems. But like the day after, literally the next day, we both kind of looked at each other like, we will have so much more to say about the show. Why didn't we just talk about that?
So I was like, I'm going to look at some stuff. Like, she sent me some cool comics and stuff I'm going to read this weekend. And then on Tuesday, we'll probably start this next Tuesday with Has Been Hotel. Which is funny. The 1 week ever where we have plans for the 2 days we're going to stream.
Yeah, there's the one day days nothing
both weeks got just like, bleh. So we're going to, Tuesday, I think, we're going to start with maybe Has Been Hotel. And then, maybe we'll talk about... Some days it might be Pokemon.
We can go
the last time we talked about just Micaiah from Radiant Dawn alone.
That's the thing. We
for
can go
4 hours.
We'll go in with the saying, we're going to cover these 3 topics. We'll probably get 1 and maybe 2 others that weren't even on the menu.
Yeah. So that's what it's very... We, also all through our lives, we've constantly been yelled at for talking too much and talking too loudly. So I think this is a perfect outlet for us.
It's mostly I'm the one doing it and they think it's you.
Yeah, I always get in trouble for it because our voices, I guess, sound similar enough from across the house. Where she projects very well, but I'm the louder person. outside of like when she's talking about something she's enthusiastic about, quiet. You'd be like, Evie, what do you want for lunch? She'll be like, oh, I don't know, tacos. We'll be like, what did you say? What? And obviously I'm the loud one.
I think you just have a loud personality.
Yeah, we're your favorite dynamic trope of characters. We've got...
I thought you were going to say trio. I'm like, who's the third one?
The trio! No, the dynamic trope of characters where we've got the quieter friend and then the loud, exuberant friend. I can't say you're introvert and I'm extrovert, because I actually don't think I'm an extrovert. I think I'm a blend.
You might be an introvert extrovert.
Maybe. Because I do enjoy being with people, but also I do get tired very fast from social activities. Well, but I think that's more of an attention span thing.
And also, the thing about extroverts is that is, like, the idea is introverts where you get your energy from. Introverts get their energy from time spent alone and with self-reflection. Extroverts get their energy from time spent with others. That doesn't mean that you don't have a battery drain if you're with others. You still drain from that. Introverts just are uncomfortable in those situations, as opposed to extroverts seek those situations.
Mm-hmm. Like, mine is very situational.
It's like being depressed if you couldn't see anyone for a long time.
Yeah, it's very situational. I'm only good with people I know and I want to be with. If I'm with my friends that I maybe don't like as much as other ones, or maybe we had like a falling out recently, I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
You know, but if it's like friends that even I'm mildly with, and fine. Yeah, I'm trying to get tested for some stuff. You know, whatever works. But I think we'll do Tuesday. We'll be talking Tuesdays, and then we'll take those and we'll put those on our main YouTube channel, and we'll just label them under some sort of podcast name. We have some ideas, yeah. And then the rest of the regular videos, like video on demand, will just go on our regular VOD channel and that stuff. And then hopefully this weekend,
I would make YouTube videos, but I got a webinar that is literally 10% done that I said I'd have due by Monday. And I don't know why I didn't work on it this week. I felt like I literally had some sort of attention deficit thing that was just whacking my brain constantly because I could not focus on it. I could focus on so many other things, but that project. And I'm like, that's why I want to go see a therapist. Because like, how do I make it not do that?
Which is funny because that's generally what I experience like every day of my waking existence.
It's just with these like work things. Everything else I can be so focused
on. For mine, even if I want to do it, sometimes I struggle so hard even for things I want to do. I get like procrastination paralysis, but I've in the past few days actually been completing small works for a portfolio.
Why I felt so horrible because you're being so productive. We
flip flopped. Well, I'm trying to get a job, so that's why I'm making more pieces for my portfolio to put out as like graphic design things, maybe to start getting into that media. Because the problem with my degree is it's so broad. It's very because I went to STEM school, then switched to a humanities major, so getting like. I didn't go to a humanities school, so my degree is very broad. It's not super specialized, but it's specialized enough that I can only work in one kind of field.
You're so far special.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my feelers out and get something. Cause
just keep making it on the camera.
Like this. I have like a weird middle degree. Well, your degrees are very specific. You're like, these are things I'm very well equipped for, and here's what I can do, but I can also
make it easier, but yeah.
Yeah, and mine's like, I can kind of do this, but also I can't do this or this.
You see communications on a degree, and you're like, oh, that means you can go marketing? I'm like, no, that's not what it translates to. I couldn't do that if put into it.
Hey, Maddle Fanny, number one fan. Hey. What's up? We're just talking about our college
I can go
degrees.
into that if I can, but it's like, it's not the thing I specialize in. I specialize in making things, not in telling you why you need them.
Yeah. My degree is very much like a...
I only know the word thing.
It's essentially, as my script says, it's a degree in versatility. It really is. It means I can write you theoretical papers. Did you come
up with that? Or did they write that on your diploma?
No, I made that up.
Oh, nice.
I can also, like, within the media concentration, you can go from being a graphic designer. If you specialize in that, you can be a filmmaker, you can be a script writer, you can be a radio producer, you can be someone who makes academic works. It's very, very broad, but also so narrow and specialized. That is just, it's, I think
broad, I keep thinking of the noun version.
Okay. My biggest difficulty is just finding what I want to do within that degree, because all the things are interesting. It's just finding what I would like to focus more on. So that's why I think I might go back to school, or I might just try, right now I'm looking at courses that, aren't attached to school. I'm doing some of those right now, which is, I think, a good kind of fill in. But I made a couple portfolio pieces that I think are pretty
some really awesome art, and she's like, oh no, this looks good. I'm like, I would literally beat myself if I could do that.
Yeah, so I have an art Instagram. It's just I haven't posted since October of last year because I wanted to purge my old stuff and post all that stuff.
You should never purge.
Yeah.
Only grow.
Well, so I don't want to throw it away.
To see how awesome you are unless you see how much you sucked.
I want to take all my old stuff and I want to post it because I never posted it. I don't want to get rid of it. I want to actually put it out there so that I can put out my newer stuff so you can see kind of the growth. I just haven't gone around to it. But I'm trying to get back into that like this week. I've made some lists and stuff and that always helps me. And now that I finished up a couple pieces that I drew them a super long time ago and they have like really intricate details and patterns in them. And then I just finally digitized them, and I changed a lot of the patterns. And
what did you put in us under tags?
Tags?
Yeah, what did you put in us for tags?
Nothing, really.
Oh. You should put chatting in Pokemon. We can at least try and grab the Pokemon crowd.
Oh. Well, Evie can go ahead and get into our main topic while I look at our tabs.
Is not supposed to be talking about our lives.
But that always
it's
happens.
Supposed to be, we're talking about, today they had Pokemon Direct. It was called Pokemon Presents, but it was a Direct. I think they can't use Direct because that's owned by Nintendo or something. But it was essentially them going, Pokemon has 25th anniversary. It's technically the 27th, but they did it today. And so they went to go and give news on the Pokemon franchise, which we are heavily entrenched in. I think it's not wrong to say it's probably our favorite series collectively.
Definitely the game I've played the most, like the series I've played the most games out of, both mainline and offshoots.
Most of my time is spent making Pokemon fanfiction and fan art, so, I go in Pokemon Master Dungeon roleplay groups.
Yes, like a lot of my art also spawned heavily from early Pokemon drawings and delved into more individualized creatures and then things inspired by Pokemon instead of just straight Pokemon themselves.
So essentially, I'm not even going to explain what Pokemon is. If you don't know what Pokemon is, stop living under a rock.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But they had a Direct today to announce the newest games. And for the last, 7 years, people have been demanding for remakes of the Gen 4 games, which was Diamond and Pearl, with the Sinnoh region. And they were, what now?
It's fine.
Okay. Keep going. And they were, the one before that was Ruby and Sapphire, and they got remakes way back in the 3DS era, so several years ago. And so for the longest time, people were like, Diamond and Pearl remakes, over and over and over again. It was just that all the time. And so people were like, every time there was a Direct, every time there was any sort of update, they're like, is it finally time for the Diamond and Pearl remake? So when this came on, everyone was just kind of like, okay, we'll see what happens. And so when they went and said, hey, here's the Diamond and Pearl remix, you just kind of sat there in shock, being like...
You're like, this has been 15 years in the
literally
making.
15 years since this DS game came out.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. That 15 years? Can you just think about that for a moment?
That's gross.
I would have been 10.
I would have been...
Just take 2 away from 10.
8.
Yes. Remember that the year gap makes your math easy.
I was like, Yeah, it's a long time ago.
That's just scary to think about when you think about it.
Yeah, it's gross.
But anyway, so our thing is we were just going to talk about that. Because it's it was just one of those moments where you've been waiting for it for so long that when it actually happens, you're just kind of in shock because it's like, okay.
I think...
It's like getting an inheritance. You know it's coming, but when it actually gets there, you're kind of just don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. I definitely think the way they did it was very safe. And I appreciate that because they did 2 games that are very, very different and almost complete opposites. And I think that will work to their benefit as long as both the games come out fully polished and fully realized. Because especially with the Sinnoh remakes, they're walking a very, very, very fine line.
Sinnoh,
possibly the
for
finest.
Those who don't know, is one of the most popular regions.
I think I would arguably say it's the most popular because that's when they got the largest majority of their fans. That's the one with the heaviest nostalgia value for them.
Well, it's where it changed competitively, too, because that's where they had the special physical split, which totally changed competitive, and then that was the first time they introduced new evolutions for old Pokemon. Mm-hmm. The region itself is kind of in the middle for me. The region itself is not particularly memorable. I just know it because I played it so many times. Platinum did better. Platinum definitely did better.
My first one was Platinum. I never played Diamond or Pearl, but I played Platinum, which was the amalgamation of the 2 put together with all the flaws kind of not necessarily removed, but kind of buffed in a little.
Well, the biggest issue of Diamond and Pearl was there's literally 2 fire types in the entirety of the game, and why that happened, no one knows, because they have a fire type Elite 4 member.
And you're like, so what do you...
Why didn't you put more fire types in the game? You have a guy who's supposed to specialize with them. He needs a team of 6.
Exactly.
Why you have 2?
Yeah.
And Platinum wasn't much better, but at least it was better.
Mm-hmm.
I think he got like a Flareon and a Magmortar and something. I don't know. Which is the other crazy thing. Why was there only 2 when Magmortar was introduced in that edition?
Girl, I got no clue.
Why was there only Ponyta and Infernape? It didn't have the Pokemon they introduced because you couldn't actually get them without transferring them up, and it was kind of like one of those just weird things. So that's why I say, Diamond Pearl even say, like, yeah, let's do that because Diamond Pearl could use a little bit of updating. They honestly are not as great of an experience as Platinum. Platinum was the series going out on a high note, but the actual games themselves, honestly, were pretty infuriating at times.
I think, they're obviously, as I said before, treading, harsh waters. They gotta...
I think you mean dangerous waters.
Dangerous waters, harsh waters, either way, it's gonna be... No matter what happens, it's gonna be a rough time. But I think if they really polish these 2 games down, I think it will be enough great content that it will outweigh any bad that people could bring up. She's not on Twitter, I am on Twitter, so I see like a lot of...
I'm on Discord, it's about as bad.
Yeah, and I'm not on Discord. So, I see a lot of gaming and artist Twitter, so I see a lot of like the Pokemon reactions. Because I actually follow James Turner, who's like, I think
the socks like perfectly line up.
They do with the line. Who's like, I think the director of Pokemon art or something like that. I don't know exactly. I literally just followed him like a week ago.
He was the art director of Sword and Shield.
Yeah, so I follow him on Twitter. So I was like obviously seeing kind of reactions and stuff.
Oh,
and it was interesting to see how split people were. Some people were like, they weren't happy that the Shining Diamond and whatever, Dazzling Diamond or whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called.
Brilliant
Diamond, Shining Pearl. I'm not going to remember. I'm going to make up a new name every time because I can.
I am surprising though they didn't go for Dazzling Diamond considering they have an ING with Pearl, Shining Pearl.
Yeah, it's whatever. But some people were like,
they didn't honestly care. They
didn't like that it was a fresh coat of paint on the same game. I'm like, but when you think about it,
a lot of people really wanted
that. I was like, that's what people have been asking for. They've been asking for the same thing because I was talking to this a little bit to Evie earlier. When you think about it, because the reason Sinnoh is so iconic for a lot of it is because of the environment and the perspective of the environment. And if you try to change it into a sword and shield format where you're not getting that, the top-down kind of whatever omniscient.
It's just not the right timing.
That to perspective, do it. That's not what you get in Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield, you're very much getting this lower, almost this third-person perspective instead of this top-down. So you would lose a lot of the environment.
Well, the issue that they were presented with is that these games have been inspected for so long that there is going to be a very high percentage of people who are not going to like it. And I bring up this every time. Breath of the Wild, now one of the most acclaimed things on the Switch. Never mind the Zelda series, the Switch in general. One of the most
I know nothing about Legend of Zelda. I actually
is Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I actively avoid it because I think it's overwhelming. But I know I know a ton about that game.
It's because we're not really big open world people. But
Zelda people. Our brother is. It's
but
not
the thing is that people forget, like, it's so great now, but people forget when that thing was first announced, people were up in arms because they did not like the new art style. They did not like he had a more techie appearance to his weapons.
I love it.
People don't like change. So when I go, people are saying, like, all these things, like, I don't like this new art style. I'm like, you don't know until you play it, and you can go and judge it based on its merit. Don't look at it and say the art style sucks.
Which is exactly like, I think the Breath of the Wild art style is beautiful. Because one of the reasons I was thrown off with the original, like, the older Legend of Zelda games is because I don't like the art style. I think it's very, like...
The game just never appealed to me.
It's just, like, not for me. Obviously, because I'm a fan of things like, Kirby and Pokemon. I'm into very round and light colors and very easy on the eyes, and Zelda is definitely different. It's more of...
Also, if you can tell from Portal, we do not have great puzzle skills, and most of the game is a dungeon delver.
Yeah, it's like, it's very stylized, and it has a certain style it sets to, and a certain aesthetic standpoint it likes to, go by. So it wasn't for me, but Breath of the Wild, I'd be definitely willing to play that game, even though it's...
We pretty much have the Greek version of that with the new game I got we need to play on here.
Yeah, I was like, it's very intriguing, because I think the art style is very beautiful. and it draws me in. And I'm someone who's not typically a fan of the franchise, which is saying how successful it is if you can get someone who's actively avoids it into it. I think that it's a good choice. That's why I'm excited to see the Pokemon Legends or Legends Arceus, whatever it's called. Well, that game I'm very excited for.
I have to say is that Pokemon, the Pokemon Sinnoh Remakes and the new one, Pokemon Legends, which also takes place in Sinnoh, and it's in the past. It's an open world game. They're literally the Zelda games. Pokemon Remakes, that's literally the art style of Link's Awakening, and then the Pokemon Legends, they literally have shot for shot some of the things that they had the original Breath of the Wild trailer. And so they literally grabbed those two teams and says, make Pokemon.
I think that was one of the smartest decisions they've made in a long time.
Why not? They're both very
successful. When you look at the way that the Pokemon franchise has been going for the past couple of games, you're like, it's so formulaic. In one way, you're like, you know what you want, but then at some point it gets painfully formulaic. You're like, well, at what point am I just playing this because I wanted in better graphics? I'm playing the same game over and over again.
Yeah, it's something...
Especially for someone like me, like for you it might be different because you know more of the lore. From someone like me, like playing Omega Ruby and Ultra Sapphire.
Alpha Sapphire?
Yeah, I don't know what they're called. I make up the names every time. I didn't have as much connection to the lore when they're like, oh, we redesigned the characters. I was like, well, when Ruby came out, I was like, Gay Wallace is my favorite part, and he's my favorite character of that entire game. No questions asked, and there will be no debate on that. But, like, when original Ruby came out, I'm like a kid. You know, I don't remember it as much because I didn't get all the way through the game. So I didn't have that much of an impact on me, so when I'm playing the remakes, I'm like, these are cool, good games, but it doesn't hit me as hard, you know?
Well, my thing on that, I was talking to someone about that earlier, about how, because in my Discord chats, there's some people that are really excited, there's some people who are cautious but optimistic, and then there's, like, 2 people who just want to tear Game Freak a new one, and I'm just like, I don't like that because I don't see where the negativity gets you anywhere good.
Exactly.
And the thing is that they go and their argument is like Game Freak has gone lazy and they don't care anymore. I don't think that ever is true.
No, I think
they're giving it to us, therefore they can't. Exactly. They have to care to an extent.
Game Freak, I give them kudos as much as they can get because the fact that they've been able to keep the Pokemon games strong this long is actually a greater feat.
I think that the reason we have hindsight with this is because we are part of the Sonic fan base.
Exactly.
And one of our games, it looks like when they don't care.
One of our absolute favorite games when we were kids was Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, which are 2 just really great Sonic games. The first one's on the Dreamcast and the second one's on the GameCube.
So these are bottle those games.
Yeah, these are old consoles, but you can see how it's like those, like you said, it's like those were smack and go, awesome, great hits, and then they stumbled along. The old people like the 2D.
Too
I personally didn't. I'm not a fan of the older 2D games. It's just not for me. It's just not my style game. I know a lot of people.
I need a homing tech.
A lot of people swear by them. Personally, I don't enjoy them. I don't play them. I don't think they're fun. I like the 3D Sonics, and I like Chow's.
I mean, who doesn't like Chow?
Chow's immaculate. So you can see, like, we like those 2 games, and then Sonic, with all its acclaim, all its money, its fan base, its popularity. What's another hit game I can name by Sonic after Sonic Adventure 2 Battle that I think holds up to the standard of those 2 games? Stream's working. Awesome, cool. Yeah, I said we were having problems, so
we've been trying to fix it.
Either way, it's recorded on our end without the internet interruption, so we'll still be uploading.
We have a YouTube channel for this.
Yeah, we'll have a YouTube channel for this, so you can see. And if there's any more,
if you need any sleep music stuff any other day of the week,
you can talk to us.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, because we'll put up there because it's definitely. Whenever we have any more internet struggles, we're always recording it independently of the stream.
Like, so literally everything's gone wrong with our internet that can go wrong, besides, like, gophers chewing on the wires.
Yeah, so thank you for sticking with us. It's definitely frustrating, but we're doing our best.
We're doing what we can.
Yeah, but either way, like, Sonic, after those 2 games, there's been Sonic games. There's been decent Sonic games. There's been a lot of Sonic games. Has there been one that, in my opinion, stands up to those 2, removing the nostalgia goggles, just simply looking at gameplay, character design,
just being solid. The one that comes the closest is ironically is 06.
Sonic 06 would be the closest because it's supposed to be Sonic Adventure 3. I think if it was given 2 more years of development, it could have been the awakening for the Sonic franchise.
They really wanted to make something good, but they had not the time and a fourth of the team.
Exactly.
They just couldn't.
It was Cyberpunk 2077 before Cyberpunk, you know? an incomplete game came out that wasn't properly beta tested, it wasn't the kinks weren't worked through.
They had to hit a deadline and they missed it.
Yeah, it's like, it was definitely rough. But like, Sonic's huge. Everybody knows Sonic, but Sonic Heroes is okay. It's writing more off. It's a decent game.
It's a good game. It's just a good game 4 times.
Yeah, it's riding off the high of the previous games. And then you got Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic.
Are you kidding me? We're Sonic fans. We actually never played Mario growing up. We played all Sonic all the time.
Yeah, so you're talking about good Sonic games? Yeah, we're trying to figure out, like, kind of discuss which, like, say, giving Game Freak a little credit for the Pokemon games, because you can play them and you can say this level of gameplay is consistent. I'm getting consistent experiences from them. Sonic, for how big it is, that's what we're saying. You gotta give them credit, because when you look at something,
extreme highs and lows.
Yeah, you look at Sonic and you get great game, mediocre game, terrible game.
Oh, you know what we should also have for
constantly
another topic? Games that people say suck, but we actually loved.
Yeah, that's one of our topics.
That one.
Write that down. That's a good one. Games that we like that other people hate.
Half of them are Sonic games.
Yeah, because like that's the worst part is we're pretty diehard Sonic fans. Like we try them every time. We own the games. We've played a lot of them all the way through. Some of them were painful to finish, like the Lost Rings one. I didn't even
didn't
like that one. Sonic and the Black Knight definitely had potential.
Sonic colors look beautiful. It got very repetitive after the third
That's the worst part. The best thing about Sonic games, which I think their one consistent thing, is their music. They always have good music.
Except for Sonic Boom, and we don't talk about that.
Sonic Boom doesn't exist, and it doesn't exist. And if you tell me it exists, I will go offline and just not look at your comment because I don't want to see it.
Gonna block that comment.
Yeah, I'll be my own mod and I'll block that comment. That's what I'm saying. I gotta give Game Freak their credit where credit's due.
They never dip in quality
because
they go up.
Yes, like even if you're looking at the wild area and Sword and Shield, some of the textures aren't mapped great. The pop-ups sometimes, the Pokemon come out of nowhere, but you're also looking at a big scale 3D game. Their first attempt at
is really sharp.
Yeah, their first attempt at some sort of open world with openly ranging Pokemon. That's a big jump from them from the consistency of the 2D, very formulaic games. You can say what you want about them, but they are consistent in their quality. They're consistent in their gameplay, the style choices, the story is pretty consistent because it's pretty consistently the same every time.
Well, and the other thing I remember, I was talking to the other person online, and they were saying about how the fact that like Game Freak doesn't deserve to have Pokemon anymore. It needs to be moved to another company that can innovate more. I'm like, that's not really fair, because the other thing that people do not think, a series is a series of shackles. You literally can't go too far out of bounds, or people freak out. People don't like change. They want it, but they don't like it.
Exactly. That's the main problem with Pokemon. Is it's huge. It is a very large franchise.
Walked in and said, "You're going to be playing as a Pokemon with weapons in a fighter game." People are going to be like,
"Whoa!" That's just like exactly. You can only take so many steps. So let me read what Weirdly says. I think sometimes the Pokemon fans / community forgets that these games also have a deadline. Very true. I like Sword and Shield, but you see that I got kind of rushed at some point. And I just think they had a hard deadline.
Well, that's the other thing that I was talking about, is that they release almost every year.
Exactly. That's just like you gotta give them credit when you look at the points. It's easy to tear them down, and I would love to do the same thing. But I agree. They almost every year or every 2 years they come up with a new mainline game.
Never mind spin-off games.
Yeah, it's like, and then having spin-off games and apps and merchandise and all that stuff, like things that take large groups of people to do. And there's some kind of like some of my favorite Pokemon games are definitely the spin-offs. I can definitely for sure if my favorite top 3 favorite Pokemon games, Pokemon Ranger would definitely be up there. Pokemon Conquest actually is one of them. I love that game. And then I would choose a mainline game. Like my top 3 wouldn't all be mainline games, but the fact that they're able to consistently put out those games, I definitely give them a lot of credit for that. Even you can see the flaws. The stories a lot of times are half baked. But then again, I remember seeing on Twitter one of the creators being like, "Well, at some point we had to completely nerf a lot of things because mobile games started to get a rise, and we were worried that this new generation likes mobile games, and they're not going to play our games if they increase the difficulty."
You gotta remember, this is literally a series that has seen the rise and fall from backlit screens to touch screens.
Exactly.
They're literally trying to ride the trend constantly.
I think my favorite Pokemon spin-off game is Pokemon Mystery Dungeons
Explore the Skies. Truly the best PMD game.
I think my favorite would be Blue Rescue Team, only because that was my first one and the one that I got like 100% on, like recruitment and everything. I spent the most hours on that game.
Blue Rescue Team has the best story. Explorers of Skies has the most refined gameplay because it makes everything easier that was difficult in the first game, namely and recruiting.
The story's really good. The story's good too.
It is. I like the first one better, but the second one is definitely better.
Recruiting Blue Rescue Team is incredibly painful, and it takes a super long time to get your legendaries.
Friendaries suck.
So long. So much money. But yeah, I definitely forgot what I was saying, but oh yeah, I remember when we were actually talking about my first Game Boy that I played games on didn't have a backlight. Like, we had to buy one.
Remember that
and
time?
It was like a library reader light. You had to click on the back so I could play it past dark because there's no backlit screens. And you can play Pokemon on consoles that came before that one. Handhelds that came before, a Game Boy. The Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance SP.
Since video games have existed, Pokemon has existed. So I don't really fault them too much for trying to keep up and stay relevant because they literally have been riding the trend since the very beginning.
You gotta think how remarkable it is. You can go to the first Pokemon game and how incredibly similar it is to the last Pokemon game before the 3D evolution. The graphics.
Let's just say red, green, blue, whatever. They had some janky mechanics.
I agree.
The mechanics are so screwy in that game.
Didn't play them. But it was.
Just say you did. Don't actually do it.
Yeah,
unless you research it beforehand.
Didn't do it. Yeah. But like you played Crystal and I played Ruby, and then you play
Crystal is actually very similar to what we have before Gen 4.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how it is, and I'm glad that they're taking small steps, but they're still big steps in Pokemon standards. Small steps of doing this. I saw somebody call it 2.5D on the mainline Sinnoh Remakes, and I think that's a cool way to put it because giving it a full 3D revamp, I think, would have been a very poor decision. Because it would have been too much. Just too much for the system to handle, too much for the teams to handle. You would have to cut out so much. As big as Galar is, it's still a dwarf in comparison to Sinnoh and all the stuff you put in. There's so many just intense sceneries. Every city is iconic. There's so many pieces of it that inside the building, you're going to be like, well, where's the Pikachu that stands in the corner? And when you go into the contest halls, where are the pictures of the Pokemon on the contest halls? I'm so excited for contesting.
I forgot contests came in that generation.
Super excited. And I think giving this 2.5D was a very good happy median because they're able to keep essentially the blueprint. They're making it easy for themselves, honestly. They're keeping the blueprint that everyone loves and then just transforming it halfway to something everyone also loves.
Yeah.
So theoretically, they should love it in the middle.
The place where they're going to have to be careful on, and we were talking about this earlier, is that it can't be another Let's Go. They have to make sure that the mechanics stand up, regardless of what they look like. The mechanics must still remain strong, because Sinnoh is also well known as being one of the most competitively challenging games.
Exactly.
And it won't be as much now, because obviously things, it's like...
Fairy types.
If fairy types still exist, then they'll obviously have changed things. A lot of Pokemon have been introduced. But the thing that really changed the game in this whole thing was, the mechanics. It was more difficult. There was less Pokemon in the region. There was different RNG. So it's kind of like, the biggest thing is if Sinnoh gets stupid easy, then people are going to be angry about that, regardless of how it looks like.
I think the three biggest factors they need to take in outside of style and aesthetic choices is Pokemon they add back in the game, the inclusion or...
Oh, we got some comments.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to read this real fast and I'll get back to my points. The art style kind of reminds me of the Link's Awakening remake on the Switch.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I said. It literally is...
It might have been when our thing
was out. But I literally was like, Link's Awakening team got chucked over the Sinnoh remake, they literally Breath of the Wild got chucked into the Pokemon Legends.
They said, these were really popular. Beep, boop, beep. Help us fix this.
You're now Pokemon people.
Yeah, it's like the things they have to keep together in order to make this successful, like those Link's games were, or those Legend of Zelda games, is Cynthia is number one.
Difficulty.
Cynthia
is representative
number one thing that if they do even a fraction of a percent wrong, the entire game could go up in smoke. because she's now had the factor of 15 years building up in her, like, her reverence almost. She's this iconic figure of, she was so difficult. She came back in other games, and she was, she still came in black and white, and she was still difficult. Outside of her own game, she was difficult. So they gotta tread...
She's also an Alola.
Yeah, she's gotta tread very carefully around her, because she's gotta stay the same.
And she's kind of representative of the game as a whole in terms of its difficulty.
Yeah, and the problem is, a lot of players who played it 15 years ago are now 15 years older. So they gotta keep it relative difficulty to the new... I think the trick to making this game succeed is marketing it towards that older audience. If they market it towards a younger audience, I think the older audience, which are the ones who have been waiting for it for 15 years, are the ones gonna be angry. I think if they get Cynthia right...
I just hope they turn the EXP share off.
Really?
Well, that honestly is the thing I think has kind of been killing the games lately, or they need to dull it down, because the issue is you're always over-leveled before you go face the final boss.
That is true. That is true.
So I'm like, I think having that would be an easy
the
fix,
physical
just turn
EXP turn on, turn off, I think is good. And then I think what Pokemon they choose to include. I think that's a big, big factor. Because before, like you said earlier, it was difficult because certain types just weren't there. And there was addition of that game is where you get a ton of third evolutions or second evolutions. Just a ton of here's a new evolution for this Pokemon line.
Really.
Exactly. And they're some of the most, in my personal opinion, some of the best, well-designed evolutions they have.
Let's just name a few. There's Honchkrow, Mismagius, Togekiss, Weavile, Porygon-Z, Electrovir, Magmortar, Yamega, Magnezone, Licky Licky, Tangrowth, what was is that all of them?
I don't remember. But that's 11 that we can 11 that we can pull off the top of our head.
Yeah.
And that's evolutions on a line that's already created and already has. Yeah, it's like a lot of things that are created, and then you add on the new ones like Luxray, Staraptor, Lucario.
I'm not mentioning a lot got pre-evolutions like Budew for Roselia, and also got Roserade. So Roselia had a great time in Sinnoh.
Yeah, it was just that game. I think was one of their strongest ever in terms of Pokemon editions. So
Ridley says the ASP share in Sword and Shield was fine. It's not. I don't like the ASP share. In fact, it was way more broken in X and Y. It's more. My point is that I think it just needs to be properly used, and essentially because I think it did give a bigger boost in X and Y. And Sword and Shield doesn't have a bad EXP share. It's more the matter of the fact that they have to be careful with it because you have to be aware some people will over level, and that's why. Ultimately, I don't find Leon to be that challenging of a champion. It's partially that, and partially the fact that he uses a Charizard as his ace Pokemon, which has so many weaknesses. Mm-hmm. But it's the thing is if you go in there at the same level, it's fine. Over-leveled, it's easy. Under-leveled, it's still fine, ultimately. Mm-hmm. It's kind of it's...
Sword and Shield, there never is a moment...
They can't rely on...
Where it challenges me, and then take that and multiply it times 5, and that's X and Y. Because, as we can tell, RNGs are my greatest enemy. They hate me so much. And I'm not good at strategy games. Anything that involves any strategy. But the fact that I was able to sleep my way through Pokemon X and Y means that it was way too easy.
So, I guess my better thing is not take away the EXP share for Sinnoh. It's more make the RNG less forgiving.
Well, I think make it an item and just turn it on.
Well, I mean, you can turn it off, technically, I think. But that's my whole thing. It's the reason the RNG is actually a lot harder for Sinnoh and why it's one of the more brutal things to Nuzlocke is just the RNG was more cruel in that game. That was back when critical hits still dealt twice as much damage. Now they only do 1.5 or something like that. And that was back when criticals were much higher chance of happening, and you had fog condition, which is the worst weather condition ever.
Yeah, I just remember going through trying to train things, and there was the one rainy area that before you got to that one. The marsh.
Oh yeah, the marsh. That was also
that part was
game
awful, and then Mount Coronet was practically impossible for me when I was younger.
That was the game of hard terrains.
Yeah, it's the terrains. I just remember that whole game, struggling through it, but it's memorable because of that. Because I couldn't breeze through it in 2 weeks. Because it took me a long time.
That's another thing. Are they going to bring back HM moves then? Because this was the game that had literally 8 different HMs. Moves.
I wonder about that too. I wonder about... That's just it's going to be interesting to see how they try to modernize these old Pokemon things.
Yes, we very much agree with you on that.
But my biggest question for Gen 4 Remake is still, will we get the Mega Evolutions back, or do we get Dynamax again?
I think getting Dynamax again will be the worst possible decision they can make.
Begging for Mega Evolutions. I rather have nothing at all and have Megas be after game things like they've done in, I think
that's actually what they do in Let's Go.
So maybe
you can get megas at the end of the game.
Yeah, I was like, I think even if it's a post game thing, putting megas in the game is an easy win. Easy 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because imagine what Cynthia could do with a Mega Garchomp. Come on.
There's
no reason why we wouldn't do it. There's no reason to not give her a Mega. If they put Dynamax in the game, I agree that no matter what they do to the game, we'll tank it immediately.
Because Dynamax...
For me, personally, if they put Dynamax in the game, I am like 10% less likely to play it. I think Dynamax will return there because it's still a Gen 8 game.
It's not a Gen 8 game. You gotta be careful with that. Because Oras, for instance, is not a Gen 5 game. It's a Gen 3 game that's been remade.
Yeah, it's a remake.
It's an update.
So technically, it's like a Gen 4.5.
So Legends would technically be a Gen 8 game because it is existing for the first time in Gen 8. But Gen 4 is going to be different. And the biggest issue is that Mega Stones have been the only gimmicky thing that have been shown to exist outside of lore. Z Crystals tie into Alola's lore, so they don't really work outside of Alola. Dynamax heavily ties into Galar's lore, so it doesn't really make sense outside of Galar.
Yeah, so I think the best way to look at this is to separate each game from its generation and tie each game to its location.
Yep.
Like, you wouldn't pull certain things out of certain games. That's why I agree with you where I think Megastones are the only thing that you can pull them out of Kalos because they're not attached to Kalos.
Because the reason why is because they were attached to Oras, which made sense because Steven was a stone expert, so it makes sense he found them.
Steven, so when he came in X and Y and you found him there, it made sense that you could get stones in that game because you found the guy. I think it's smarter that they have Steven because that's an easy cameo thing. He's somewhere in Sinnoh where you can get your first Megastone.
He does appear in Diamond and Pearl. All the champions do, actually, ironically enough. You can go and get a...
Because there was that Battle Island where you can go and you had your chateau and Platinum.
He would appear in whatever city it is that has the museum. He would appear there. You could go and talk to him and you would get one of the Hoenn starters. So... But I'm like, and also it's definitely my headcanon that he's friends with Cynthia because they both like hanging out on the ground and they both tend to roam in other regions.
Best friends.
So I'm like, I definitely think that they are very close friends.
They're good friends.
But
they go.
So I'm like, I don't think there's any reason why she couldn't have it because she roams the region a lot. It's not crazy of her to bring back something with her.
I think
she
bringing
also just ruins.
I think the only options they can really make that make sense are Megastones or new gimmick, and I think a new gimmick would actually be worse than trying to bring in Dynamaxing.
Unless they try to, like, update a gimmick that hadn't really been fully realized.
Yeah, I was like, it'd have to be something in-game, because I think new gimmick, people would be like, why would you do that?
Well, like, I'm just being hypothetical here. Like, they could do something like, for instance, in that game we had a lot of form changes. There was the Rotom forms, there was the Giratina forms, there was a lot of form changes. So, like, if they said maybe, we're gonna have particles of some sort that collect around Mount Coronet because it's a magnetic place and that's something that's going to pull from it, sure.
Yeah, like maybe they made different more regional forms now. Yeah. Which would be interesting because Sinnoh had no regional forms because it had all the evolutions instead. If Megas will return, I hope they will balance them a bit better because some Pokemon really haven't needed a Mega, like Salamence, Garchomp, Alakazam, Gengar, etc.
Well, first of all,
Mega Gengar and Mega Kangaskhan was just dumb. I agree on the Mega Gengar.
I will fight you on Kangaskhan. I love Mega Kangaskhan.
She's a big fan of Mega Kangaskhan because it has its little baby. Not so much on the competitive stuff.
And the other thing I was going to say, as a competitive player,
I think they mean dummy strong, dummy thick.
Well, as a competitive player, I will say all the ones that you mentioned actually are already nerfed and taken care of. For instance, Gengar doesn't have Levitate anymore. RP Gengar.
Yeah.
Mega Kangaskhan got literally nerfed. Its ability got nerfed, its stats got nerfed, and its main moves got nerfed, so please leave Mega Kangaskhan alone. It got nerfed so hard in the one generation it was competitive.
It's a sensitive topic for her.
One generation I gotta enjoy that Pokemon.
She loves Kangaskhan.
I only got to use it in Let's Go because everywhere else it's useless.
Well, as I say, Let's Go was cute graphically. I have not even finished it yet, I'll be completely honest, because I just got bored.
It's just very hard to grind in the game.
Yeah, I was like, how am I supposed to get stronger when this battle mechanic, I can't even battle? How are you supposed to take Pokemon?
The back end of the game's actually probably the most fun because you actually have levels to do things with by that point.
Hopefully, but, well, like, games where the whole point of the game is to battle and level up and take on all the people.
All the peoples.
How are you supposed to do that when the only battles you can do are with trainers, you know? Like, it takes the game felt hollow for me personally. I think it's very cute. I think it's a very cute game.
It's a good pass of the time game, but not a good, I want to play this game.
No. I definitely, like, other things brought my attention more, including just games on my phone. That's one of the instances where they were so worried about games on their phone, they actually drove me to games on my phone. because I was like, well, this game's harder and it's more intriguing.
Yeah.
I'd rather play that than play this game, because I'm not a... Pokemon Go was very fun when it came out, but also came out in 2016.
We also played it with it was such a glitchy mess.
Yeah, we played it when it first came out.
It's like when it plays
so it's not my favorite, thing. At the time I played it, it's not my genre game, so playing a Switch kind of port of that game...
It was like a caffeine shot, and we don't drink coffee.
Yeah, I was like, I liked it, and I was thinking to it for a minute, but overall, it's not something that draws me in, because I'd rather have something a little bit... Which is funny, because I'm not competitive at all, but I'd rather have something a little bit more competitive.
I think I won't buy the remake, honestly, because until now, they showed nothing really new stuff in Playpad and so...
Fair. That's fair.
That is fair, but I will say my one piece on this, and because I've said it like 3 times on Discord today, is that these are announcement trailers, and very rarely they're going to give you a good snapshot on what the game actually is. You have to wait for the second or even the third trailer sometimes to really tell what it is, because ultimately, what did we see from the game? We saw characters walking around in one battle. We don't really know what the game is going to go for, so... And I don't judge you at all, honestly. I mean, if you don't want it, you don't want it. It's a lot. I want new Snap, and most people don't. You don't want it. But I'm like, I will say, this is more for Pokemon Legends, is that you can't judge right now and say, oh, Pokemon Legends looks glitchy right now. I'm like, yeah, we know it's going to get at least 2 more years of development.
But I agree with you. Like, if it's something that you're not interested in, I think that's very fair and valid, because it is, again, a remake of a 15-year-old game. Well, just like I was in no rush to get Omega Ruby, like Alpha Sapphire, I only wanted to get Ruby because I like Groudon, and that was nostalgia for me. But like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I was in no rush to get those because I didn't play Gold and Silver, and I had no connection to games. If they were to do a remake right now of Fire Red and Leaf Green, like again, or like Yellow
again,
0.9, Super Yellow.
It'll be Yellow 3 at this point because Let's Go Eevee is literally, and Pikachu is literally yellow.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When playing Let's Go Eevee, I have no connection to that game. I actually think games with only the 150 first Pokemon are very boring to me personally, because I came in Sinnoh, so I'm used to that set of Pokemon. So going back to original 150 isn't for me. So I found that game boring, and if it was my choice, she had the game, so I played it. I wouldn't buy it personally myself. So that's where I can definitely see your point in that, saying like, if you've played it a lot, or if you never played it, either end of the spectrum, there's not that shine there for you. Mm-hmm. And I definitely can see where you're coming from there. I definitely agree with that, especially in terms of like Let's Go Eevee, or if they remade another old game. Like if they remade X and Y, I might get it. But also that game was just meh to me. Yeah. I'd rather get a Sinnoh remake, or I'd rather get... I liked Oraz. I'd rather get a Sun and Moon remake on just a bigger console. Like, I know those are very far off because those were pretty recent games.
Also, can we just...
if they had a black and white remake, I would love to get a black and white remake.
I was going to say, can we think about N and Chibi?
Let's think about N.
That'd be so adorable.
Wait till you can see my men I'm in love with list, because N's on there. Imagine getting N in a full 3D model. Ooh, girl, on that Ferris wheel, my avatar and N were holding hands. They were in love. That was a date. I didn't even focus on he was telling me he was the king of an organization. I was like, go you. Look at you, businessman, king of the organization. Now let's hold hands. And then we'll kiss.
I can tell you've been watching drag queens all day because you're having those hand motions right now.
This is just me. I watched drag queens yesterday. I like Trixie Mattel. She's funny.
But essentially, and I will agree right now, I'm only, like, because I actually agree with you. Right now, I don't have anything that is explicitly telling me I need to pre-order this game. I will get the game. I will not pre-order right now. For us,
it's very, very heavily based in nostalgia. For me, it's about 100%. I can't speak for you.
It's also part, if we have access to it. For instance, I wanted to get Oraz because I had not played Hoenn at all. And everyone speaks of it as their favorite generation, so I'm like, perfect! I can go and have an updated version of Hoenn.
Yeah, I was like, for me, it's very on the edge because I want to get it because of nostalgia and I love the Pokemon. In terms of the region, though, I actually hate the region. I'm not gonna lie.
Sinnoh's a hard region.
It is definitely...
It's so hard.
I played it young. I played it when I was less than 12 years old. So I can't tell you what exact age. Right, yeah, I was like, I can't tell you what exact age, but I was a kid. So playing a game like that for me was hard, and I struggled. She actually completed the game for me the first time on Platinum.
I don't know how I did it either.
I couldn't beat it. She had to beat it for me, and then I played the post-game and went back through the region again post-game, so I could actually go through it. So for me, it's more like I want to get back and see how I do as an adult, but I love the Pokemon, and I love the smaller mechanics. I like contests. Mm-hmm. I like the secret tunnels and digging. I like the battle island you got at the end of the game. Those are things that I like. But if it was just, region based, I'd be like, oh, I don't even like this region. Yeah, I think this map is hard. I think it's strenuous. I hate the whole mountain thing.
And that's actually a way why I want the remake, is because I'm like, could they make those things more tolerable?
Exactly.
If you took out those things, wouldn't Sinnoh be a 10 times better region? Like, a lot of the issue with Sinnoh, for me, was, and the reason it was one of my lowest ranked regions, even though I honestly...
One of my favorite games.
Well, yeah, it honestly has the best Pokemon, like, gameplay, and it honestly has one of the most memorable cast of characters.
Correct.
That aren't, like, you know, before big storytelling in black and white.
Well, the funny thing is, nobody knows the male protagonist's name. Everyone knows Don. Who's the other one? I couldn't tell you his name. Nobody remembers him, but everybody knows Don.
Poor Luke. Well, because Don was in the TV show.
Exactly. Don was a very iconic part of the TV show, at least when we watched
She's a lot of people's favorite. She wasn't mine, but I didn't hate her.
I like May. May's my favorite.
May was my favorite, but I'm like, I like her more than Iris.
I hate Iris. But that's just...
If only I had played the game and seen Iris, because I'm like, Iris is one of those things I'm like, I could have enjoyed her more if I just played the game, but I had to watch the TV show, didn't I? I suffered through that for 10 episodes to watch the end arc.
I love N, though. I am in love with
N. You just focused on him.
He's a very beautiful man. He's very beautiful. He's got gray hair.
I'm like,
I
know you have to go and
Great
suffer
heart.
through Iris and Ash doing whatever shenanigans, but those episodes where you can just focus on N, every movement of his is beautiful.
Shifts keys. Yes, that's how I definitely can see both sides of the argument for or against Sinnoh. For us personally, it's more of like a woohoo. There's this game that we haven't seen in forever,
but we will need to know more.
If I went to go back, we have the cards. I would not go back and play through Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum on the DS again. I just wouldn't. It's a long game.
I'm actually doing a Platinum Lancelot right now.
She might. I personally wouldn't. I don't think it would be fun.
I like to suffer.
I think I would be tired. I think I would be stressed because the RNGs hate me in new games. I think they're going to treat me in old games. You know, it's old graphics. Some people have the nostalgia for pixel things. I definitely agree that I think a lot of Pokemon actually look better in a 2D model. I think a lot of my favorite Pokemon look better in a 2D model because when they become 3D, they become too soft. But and
also the animations just kind of went down.
Yeah. But I was like, that's just personal things. I wouldn't go through it again. So that's why I'm excited to see more content, I think, from the Platinum trailer, because it's exciting because there's so much style choices that I love. I love the style of the game. I love the Pokemon. I love the people. I love the little trinkets here and there, and I love the setting. I don't love the game.
That's why I think that I'm like, the thing about this direct thing, we're just going to call it a direct. So the thing about it is that I think the point of it is that I don't judge it for one reason, is like this direct was literally to show us it exists, not to show us what it looks like. Not really. The Sinnoh Remakes was to prove, hey, they are coming. Chill. And then the Legends one was like, here's another thing, because you keep begging us for an open world Pokemon game because you all hate the wild area so much. So here you go. It's literally to go and say, we have the things you want. We're working on it.
I'm more excited actually for the Sinnoh Legends game than I am for the Sinnoh Plane remakes. Because I love that Cedar on Arceus.
It'd be cool if they bundled them.
Yeah, it would be cool. Because I love that legendary. One of my favorite legendaries, that and Garantina. I love those two legendaries a lot. I love the design. I love the story around them. I love their original calls. Arceus' remade call sucks. Arceus' original call, where it's just like...
remade its call?
Yeah, well, its original call was like, here's all of our extra sound effect clips, and we're just going to piece them together.
Wind chimes
it's very hard on the ears,
call,
and I love it. It's like...
It sounds...
And then I think they...
You want to tell about how you know that call so much?
I know that call because of Pokemon Ranger. And when you have to catch Arceus, it does like all these beams, and it calls every time it attacks, and also attacks like 4 times a second. So you hear its call a lot. So you're very familiar. If you ever played any Pokemon Ranger games, you're very, very fast.
Learn those Pokemon
very
calls.
familiar with Pokemon calls because they'll chase you. They say it in battle. They'll do when they use their assist. But I love the Ranger games. But that's just whatever. But I'm excited for that game because I love them. I don't like when they remade a lot of the Pokemon calls. They changed a lot of them from like their old scratchy, gross version. Some of them got better. I think a lot of them did lose a little bit of the cool quality from their old sounds because it sounded like an old game. So you kind of got like it's just, I don't know, a
the
cool
fun part?
Nostalgia thing with it.
Like Game Club, they'd be like, can you name Pokemon based on the call? And I could get like half of them because a lot of them were Sinnoh Pokemon.
I could get a good amount. A lot of the ones I will say, they do sound similar. I only played the first Ranger game. The one with the blue hair.
Yeah, all the Ranger games are great.
She played the one with the blue hair a lot. I played the one with the
Oh man.
Yeah, the one with the brown hair a lot. And then there's one after that.
Guardian Signs, which is with the Pikachu.
Guardian Signs I played a ton. I think Guardian Signs is really, really good.
I think that none of them are bad explicitly.
I also like the second one. I think the second one, she has like the hair, and then there's the hair, and then lots of different hair. Either way, yes, I think all of them are very, very good.
Which was actually kind of impressive. They all have very different stories and very different mechanics, but all three of them are very good games. Mm-hmm. Just for some reason, Pokemon dropped it after the third game. Which I think is so sad, because
those were some of my favorite games.
It's odd.
Some of my favorite games.
I feel like Guardian Signs didn't do as good as... Like, it was good, but it wasn't as good as Shadows of Almia, and so they just dropped it in favor of carrying on, like, to things like Conquest and stuff like that. But I'm like, I really wish they would have continued with Ranger.
Because I feel like they didn't fully realize Conquest either. I thought that was an interesting game. It was essentially, if you put Fire Emblem and Pokemon together, it was turn-based RPG kind of thing with Pokemon as your units. And I thought that was so interesting. You had to, bond them, level them up, and you had all the different things. I thought it was so interesting. My personal file of it got corrupted because I played it so much, actually, which was interesting. My game file got corrupted, so like I couldn't complete levels. Like I would complete it and then it would reset to the beginning, so I could only play the level over and over again. I could never complete the game. I was on like the last level too. I was like, but the fact that I still love the game means it was good.
Good game.
I had to like go try to find a new one.
I know, it's like the one strategy game you can say that you beat essentially that I never really got anywhere with. But I don't know, I just never got that far with it.
Be like that.
I have too much of a strategy mind.
I'm excited for the open world concept because you could see in the trailer like it's nowhere near realized. You could see like the frame rate dripping, and you can see the textures weren't there, and the Pokemon were glitching.
Audacity to go and call that out as bad quality. I'm like, it's 2 years away.
It's not gonna be released for another 2. The fact that they had more than just the walking sprites,
anything was working.
Like they could have just showed us concept art, but instead they actually tried to show us some gameplay footage. I think that was very bold of them, and I respect that a lot because it looked good.
Could have just given us a trailer.
Yeah, considering it's 2 years out, so I really respected that. I'm excited to see it because it's very, very different from anything Pokemon has done.
Stylized.
And I think it's a very big step in the right direction if they want to start building outside of just their mainline concepts.
You even said that it was like kind of a Conquest successor with the art style.
Yeah, it was like, it's very similar. It felt like Hoshido from Fire Emblem, where it's very like they're digging into a little bit more of the roots of Pokemon, which is Japanese. So I like that they're digging into that more and being like, well, here, let me show you something that's not just them in a t-shirt and some funky shorts and, a boots and a hat.
Well, the thing I think is cool about this is that this could be potentially another spin-off series that they could go, because the thing is, Sinnoh has the most lore in it, and this is kind of on account of 2 things. There's a lot of ruin areas in Sinnoh, and the champion who you run into many times is also like a myth person. So she's always telling you about the mythos of the place. And Steven did this in Oras too. But the whole thing is like, imagine if you could go into like the time before humans, like they did this Legends series for all the different games. Imagine what you could do with that.
That would be just so cool, because then you could take time and make legendaries legendary again, because right now legendaries are so, you saw the anime Go Caught Suicune, he's like, here, 1 Pokeball, boink, you're mine. Like, legendaries...
Actually, that was a funny story how that happened.
Probably. But I was like, that's just, I don't know the whole circumstances around that, so it's not like a great example, but I think legendaries, at least for me personally, with a lot of them only appearing in movies or being special event Pokemon, I feel like legendaries have really lost their glow. They're not...
They haven't felt truly legendary since...
It's like, yeah, you can get them once per game, but then you don't have to fight for them really, and once you get to the end, you get them automatically, and you'll get the Master Ball, and you get them, and it's fine. It's like, it's getting the older legendaries that have established rapport, or the ones that really, like, the 3 birds, or the 3 dogs, or Lugia and Ho-Oh, or sometimes you can get Arceus, which feels more like a legendary, or
Arceus actually does not appear in its own game, which is funny. Or
you can get, Dialga and Palkia. The older legendaries that have had more time, and I feel like their games built them up better, those feel like legendaries. But even when you go to Sword and Shield, I'm going to say it like, the legendaries of their own game, they don't feel like legendaries to me.
They're honestly pretty weird.
They feel like pseudo-legendaries. They feel like I just found a Garchomp in the wild and caught it. That's
For
cool.
how much
it feels like I got a Tyranitar.
There was Zacian and Zamazenta. They should have been the main thing of it. So Eternatus should have been announced from the very beginning, along with them, and it would have made way more sense. They tried to pull a Giratina with it, and it just didn't work.
No, Giratina, I think, worked because it got its own game. It's got its own,
Sword,
moment
shield,
in the
and
franchise.
Gun.
Sword, shield, gun. Well, that's what I think. They also missed an opportunity with X, Y, and no Z. They could have
they actually revealed that they were planning to do a Z version. They just never did,
which I think was one of the biggest missteps they did, because they just took Zygarde, which was this cool concept with the different forms, just like Giratina, and then they just dropped it, and then they tried to pick it up in other games, but I feel like it never really stuck, which is such a shame, because I think Zygarde is a really cool Pokemon. It's got a cool design.
Say the one thing that burns me so much about that.
Go ahead.
X, Y, and Z axis. The Z is the 3D dimension. It was on the frickin' 3DS and they couldn't make a Z game. X, Y, Z is the 3D. It makes itself. Why did it happen?
That was one of the biggest mistakes Pokemon's ever made in its entire history, was not making there was literally no reason not to make a third entry in that franchise.
Zygarde has a movie special, it has an event Pokemon, it has a quest line in Alola. Where is its game?
Yeah, I was like, it's in a ton of other games. It's got these forms you've never seen. It's strong, but that's whatever. That's what
we're here for, is to rant about the things that we don't like.
That's their misstep, not ours,
And that's the thing I
would like them to do with Legends, is take the Legendary, take Arceus. One with Jirachi, I think, will be really nice, because Jirachi is one that's fallen off the map majorly. That used to be a really big one. Bring Celebi back in. I know
she's been appearing in a lot.
Yeah, it's like, bring Celebi back in, but no longer as a gimmick one, just like Manaphy. No longer as the sub-legendary of a game. Maybe not the head legendary, but I say a head with the 2 sub-headers, like they like to do a lot.
Yeah.
I think it would be strong to bring these tiny pseudo-legendaries back into power, back into focus, without making it like when they do with Hoopa was my main one. Hoopa and
Where's Hoopa even come from? Because Hoopa doesn't have a game either.
Exactly. The ones that they brought in as DLC, as event Pokemon, as movie specials, as, code that was found in the back of a game.
There was a time when Pokemon first appeared in their own generation.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's time to stop doing that, first of all. And I think it's time to start making legendaries more exclusive to just the game. I know it's a money grab from DLC and all that stuff, but I think making it worthy of games and stuff, because Yveltal and Xerneas are still really cool.
They were. They
didn't have a great game to go with.
For all the failings of X and Y, they did a great job of tying in the legendaries and tying in why Megastones exist.
Yeah, I was like, I think X and Y had a strong story outside of the whole Lysander part. That was weird.
And Team Flare we don't talk about them.
But the whole guy with the beard and the little flower guy.
That should have been the main villain, and I don't know why it wasn't.
I think that story was strong because it was they were trying to go for a darker theme, like Black and White, and I think that was smart of them, because having an underlying dark theme doesn't automatically make your games dark. You can still have the bright, peppy overworld story, and you don't have to explore the dark one for your more casual players, but then your more devoted players can get that dark story. I think that's important.
For reference, see Steven Universe, the entire original show. That was so peppy and colorful, but always had some dark undertone.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, I think.
The other thing that I have to say is that when we're talking about, like, I remember getting back to the thing about Game Freak's been lazy, but I'm like, the one thing the reason I can't say that wholeheartedly is, like, yes, let's go. To an extent, Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield still is a very enjoyable game, though. I really love the region.
I do think it's a good game.
But the thing that's the outlier there is that they are like, you need to reinvent themselves. I'm like, they tried. That's what Alola was. And people gave them so much crap for it. Which is sad, because
Alola really is a fun game.
I love Alola.
It really is a fun... I love the island mechanic.
It felt so fresh.
I love the island. I can't tell you how much I love that. I wish you could fly like in Auras, like on Latias and Latias. I think that
wasn't really anything for you to fly conveniently like those.
I know, but I do think they should bring that mechanic. I think it was very fun. But like having the islands finally broke up, because you're so used to, alright, here's my continent, I start here, I go here, there's going to be an ice area, there's going to be mountains.
Gym leaders.
There's going to be gym leaders. I think Alola, bringing in that, I personally enjoyed it. I loved it. I think Hao is fun. I think
It also has the best story of any Pokemon game, still to date.
Yeah, I think the characters were great. The villain, finally, for once, felt legitimate.
Legitimately terrifying, and it's because it was a woman, because female villains, for some reason, are just so much worse.
I think the other one that I think there's only 2 other notable Pokemon villains ever, and that's Giovanni,
obviously,
and Cyrus.
Yes,
those are the only 2 I think out of all the games.
But those are
all the bazillion of games. Those are only 2.
Another one. They better make sure that Cyrus is still super dark and Sinnoh. This is our sister's face.
That's our younger sister. I don't know.
She has a weird face.
We're just talking about Pokemon. Yeah, I think getting more villains like that and focusing less on team whatever again, and then my little baby villain.
That was actually the beauty of Alola, was that they literally suckered you with, you're looking for team something to be the bad guys. It wasn't a team at all. They were kind of like the muscle behind the true evil people.
Yeah, so I can say they did try to do a little bit of a switch up with Team Yell and Sword and Shield,
who are literally just a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, I thought that was
and
cute.
Good idiots. They're nice idiots.
Cute, and I like how they were attached to a gym leader, because it gave a little bit of reminiscence to Giovanni.
The only
not
gym
nearly
leader.
As strong as Team Rocket. I don't think anything will be.
Nope.
But it was still, it gave you a little bit of like, oh, that's a little familiar.
The only other gym leader besides Giovanni that leads a team.
And I think Piers is awesome. He's also
Piers
on my
rocks.
list of men I'm unashamedly attracted to.
Love him.
And Marnie's great. Marnie's a great character.
They just came back to Pokemon Masters
She's
too,
very
and I have
cute.
no means of recruiting them because I used all my stuff on the Valentine's Day banners.
But that's why I like, I do like Sword and Shield because I like that their character design is different from standard. I do appreciate that a lot. They try to do more. Not everyone was a success. I will admit that. But I think they have a lot more going for them, like Piers and Marnie, Hop, and Leon together. Alistair's my favorite by far.
Best
Bede.
Ghost gym leader ever.
Becoming a gym leader, I thought that
was so cool.
I wish they would have gone so much more into that, because I think that was very much like, that was so interesting to me. I wish that would have been more of a main storyline.
And the other thing is that the while there are some things that fall apart in Galar, definitely, the thing that I thought that was really cool was the gym tournament. It felt like an event. It didn't just feel like, I'm going and doing this because I have nothing better to do on a Tuesday. It's like, no, I am part of a competition, and I have to fight for my slot.
Yeah, I definitely hope that after, I know the Sinnoh Remakes has to hold themselves to the gyms, because that's what they were doing.
Fine.
But I hope in the next mainline game, we can keep growing away from gyms. Because I think gyms, been there, done that for 20 years.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the thing.
We're tired of gyms. People want their gym leaders. You want your gym leaders, go play your 15 games with gym leaders in it, my guy.
I want an Elite Four. We haven't had one for 3 regions.
The Elite Four was supposed to be elite, and there's 4 of them. And recently it's been, there's a champion, and either the champion's good, or they're bad, and then there's a stink 5. But normally it's a stink 4, and then a champion who's cool. Because you get a fire type person, you're like, hi, I took the water starter. Psh, psh, psh. That was easy. Or there's an ice person, you're like, hi, I took the fire starter. Psh, 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 psh. That was easy, you know?
And the other thing is that they aren't even original characters. Like, before, last time we had a genuine Elite Four was in X and Y, actually. It's like, they were 4 characters, as they should be, who are mysterious, not known, you didn't see them before then. Everything past that, Alola and Galar, they don't have an Elite Four. And they are just characters that you already have seen, and to be fair, both Galar and Alola have a reason for that. Mm-hmm. Alola doesn't even have a league to begin with, so they literally have to pull from the strongest people they have.
Alola's Elite Four, the storyline made the most sense. I wish instead of having an Elite Four, they had like the Elite, Kahunas. I think that would have been cooler.
Which is kind of what they did.
Yeah, we get to defeat all the Kahunas again. Well, kind of like you did in Galar, like you had to defeat all these people again, the strongest of the people. I think that,
there's something just special about having the idea that it's like, when you defeat all the gym leaders, like, oh, it's not just the gym leaders. Your game is known with gym leaders. There's an elite club above them, and above them is the champion.
That's why I think Cynthia is so revered, because in her game, getting through the gyms was a struggle between the puzzles and then fighting the gym leader. The puzzles were harder than gym leaders, let's be real. The ice gym took so long to figure out.
2 of the gym leaders weren't even in their gym, so you had to find them.
Yeah, there's Volkner,
and Fantina were not in their gyms.
So much work to get them. But then you struggle through these gyms. Then you got to Elite Four. I don't remember the Elite Four being particularly difficult.
Aaron was the bug type, Flint was the fire type, Bertha was the ground type, and Lucian was the psychic type.
I remember only having a hard time with the the ground lady because my team was
ground types are bulky.
It was made out of a Ho-Oh and a Mischievous, a level 60 Mischievous. I didn't evolve it until I wanted to be level 60 to learn Shadow Ball because I didn't know it could learn it when it evolved. So I went to Elite Four like 12 times to level it up. So I went through with a Ho-Oh and a Mischievous. So the fact that I could get through the Elite Four pretty easily, but then still get my butt kicked by Cynthia constantly. I was saying a lot about that.
Just shows you can't power through.
Yeah.
You can't just throw a heavy thing at something and hope it will die.
But I was saying, like, the gyms were hard, and then the Elite Four wasn't necessarily easy if you used a team that wasn't full of legendaries like I did. And then Cynthia was the apex of it all. You fought through all of this, and you're like, well, this has only been this level of difficulty. How could it get harder? And then the fact that she was here, I think, is what made the Elite Four look better by comparison, because you're like, oh, this really is hard people. And then I think once they got to X and Y and you got Diantha, it was like, okay, this was really easy. Oh, these are easy. Maybe she'll be there.
It's harder than the other four because they all only have 4 Pokemon.
Like, their rooms
Why?
Their rooms were cool. It's like, I feel like the whole game kind of felt like that. It's very much for show. It's a very pretty game.
Oh, yeah, it's
a very pretty game. The chambers were all very cool, and you can see them. I love playing that level on Smash Bros.
It looks so nice.
I always choose the Kalos Elite Four because the rooms are iconic. They're very cool. However, I can walk in there and blink and I've beat them, you know?
Not to mention they missed a huge opportunity. The fact that Malva, who's the fire type leader,
I saw her and I was like, who are you?
She's one of the admins of Team Flare. They never bring that up. She doesn't even show up.
Girl, I had no clue
She's on the news once.
No clue who she was.
You don't know that unless you watch the anime.
Yeah. I never saw her.
She was a member of Team Flare, but they never thought to bring that up. Now, they do that in Johto. Because Karen and Will are both former admins of Team Rocket. And so when Team Rocket goes belly up, the Elite Four and Johto, the Indigo Plateau, they're not exactly noble. They're just the strongest people around from all walks of life. They're just there to crush you.
I think it's time to make the Elite Four evil again.
Or just
make
them
gym
tough.
leaders evil again. I want them to be evil. I think she's telling me about the older anime. I think that's so interesting. I think having the Elite Four or the Elite Four being like a crime syndicate and having the gym leaders be a little more
at least
evil,
half of them were.
I really would love a Pokemon game, even if it's not by the Pokemon creators, even if it's a fan game. Something that has that, where it's not goody-goody, this is a light world where everything's light and fine. Having a little bit of that back in, I think that would make Pokemon so interesting. I know the mainline will most likely never
do that.
Ever come out with anything like that. But I think a Pokemon, a mod or something, I think that would be so interesting and so intriguing, because you have this world that's so stereotypically bright and happy, and I'm a 10-year-old, I can take on anything. Give me, an 18-year-old protagonist, give me difficult gyms, where maybe I die and I have to come back 4 times because my Pokemon keep dying, because these people are really evil. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, the closest they got to that was in Black and White and was in Alola. Black and White was the only game where the gym leaders actually had agency. You often saw them outside their gym combating Team Plasma, even down to all of them coming in to help you went and literally smashed the Elite Four and the champion. He's like, I'm now the king of Unova. And you're like, I guess you are. You just beat the champion.
Can I marry you and be the queen?
But anyway, and then in Alola, it's the same things. When Lucian goes in and releases Ultra Beasts all over Alola, the Kahunas and
it feels like
trial captains come to the defense of the region, as they should. Where were the gym leaders in Galar?
Seeing these people who are supposed to be in power combating the consequences of the supposed bad guy, I think that's what makes the games memorable.
It's what makes you remember them, the characters themselves.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Galar has a great cast of characters. I do love the tournament because it does make you feel more like you know these people. I love the tournament idea. There is nothing better than Dynamaxing in the stadium and they all start cheering for you. It's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, I don't think Dynamaxing is bad. The only reason I dislike Dynamaxing so strongly is because your stats don't get boosted. No. Why do you get so big just to get more HP? It's stupid.
Literally nothing else changes.
Give me more stats. If you took Dynamaxing and gave me Mega Evolution stats, I know that would nerf the game a lot, but they would get it too, so it doesn't matter.
Well, the thing is, let's take Dynamax out. Let's say every character can Dynamax, but only gets the HP boost. Gigantamax should get some sort of stat boost because it's a different form than Dynamaxing.
Just because you get a move doesn't mean anything.
Nothing. It mean you have to have the right move to correspond to that move too.
Well, because when my first playthrough of Sword and Shield, I thought that when I Dynamax, I thought I got stat boost because I was fresh off of Mega Evolutions. Obviously, Z moves in between, but
mechanic.
Yeah, Z moves. You're like whatever. So my brain was like, oh, big change. Mega Evolution was big change. So this means that I'm stronger now because I am big. And then I would punch them and be like, why am I not hitting any harder? Because all you're doing is you're doing the same damage because they boost your power, but they also boost their HP because they're Dynamaxing too. So all you're doing is fighting a regular battle, but bigger, and only for 3 turns.
It's like, if it's going to be limited, I should be getting some buff out of this. Megas last all battle.
Yeah, it's like, if it's 3 turns, it should be 3 turns off, 3 turns on. For the whole battle.
Or just boost all your stats for 3 turns.
Yeah.
Stat boost, like Sword Stance, will last the entire battle, and it takes a turn.
I could complain about Dynamaxing forever. I think Dynamaxing was another big drop that they had, because I think it was cool, because I loved seeing my tiny little teapot. I had a Poltergeist. Chuck my little teapot out. It gets big. Its call sounds cool when it's big, because it sounds like you're taking a giant spoon and dinging it around in a giant pot.
That's actually why I kept a Skunky, was because its call sounded so cool.
Like a giant fart. Who doesn't want a giant fart? I love Skunkies. Anyway, Stunkies. I love the thought of it. I love seeing them big. And you're right. There's nothing like that high of you're in the gym battle. Yeah. The yelling. That was so amazing for me. I love that so much because it made it feel real. It made it feel like I'm really fighting for this, because in gym battles otherwise feel empty. I'm gonna be real. I've never thought gym battles were good.
You beat the guy and you left.
I never felt like I like shining my badges in Sinnoh. I was like, oh look, I go ting 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 ting.
You found that out by accident.
Ding 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 ding. That's cute. Otherwise, gym battles, I don't care if that's hearsay or whatever. I think gym battles are stupid. I think they're useless.
Sinnoh was probably the last time the gym battles were good because they were so hard to get through.
Yeah, it's like I never felt anything. I was like, most of the time I would take them down with my starter or the Pokemon at the head of my team. Sometimes I'd switch them around just so I wouldn't see the same Pokemon the whole battle, because I could take them down with just one. And I'm not a good trainer. I don't like grinding, and I don't have good team composition, and I can do that. Like, I'm pretty stupid, and I can do that,
I wish that Trials stuck with Alola, because I really liked the fact that they changed that, but so many people are so angry about getting rid of gym leaders, yet they're going to go and say gym leaders are bad. I'm like, what do you want?
Yeah, that's why, the biggest thing for Pokemon is staying out of the fandom. Same thing with Sonic.
Actually, it's not that bad there anymore compared to all the other ones that are burning.
Well, Sonic, yeah, it's like, they spent so many years burning, now they're like, we're just sitting on the ashes. We're just sitting on the ashes of our fandom.
It's like, we've been doing this for so long, you kind of get tone deaf to it.
Yeah. I think it's because everyone saw how with the Sonic movie, everyone saw how people bullied it into being less ugly. But that wasn't just the Sonic fandom, that was the world.
Literally everyone was like, why did you make this creature?
So I think the Pokemon fandom is very much like the Smash fandom, where they've had so many good games in a row and so consistently high quality games, and they always get what they wanted. We were talking about this the other day. They feel entitled to what they want, no matter what they want. And when you have, 50 million people feeling entitled to something, there's no way to please them all.
And don't get us wrong, there are a lot of very valid complaints. We've been talking about all the things that we don't like about Galar, but that said, Sword and Shield are still good games, and there's some very, very good moments in them. Yeah. They have a lot of great new species.
I'll tear apart any game. Any Pokemon game. Give me a Pokemon game, I'll tear it apart. There's a lot of complaints I have about a lot of these games.
Just because you have a complaint about a game does not mean that all of a sudden everything needs to suck, and therefore I didn't like what Galar did, so therefore I need to pick apart whatever comes next. No, you don't.
No.
Wait until it gets here. I'm a big proponent of you don't judge it until you experience it. So if it's a book, it's a movie, TV series, to some extent TV series are long. But it's a game, you have to experience it at least 50% of the way.
Well, I'm a big believer also, that is very true, but also if you really hate it, don't complain. Because you know what you're doing? You're making yourself miserable. You're making others miserable.
Negative breeds negative.
Yeah, I was like, because that's what I do with a lot of stuff. If I don't like it, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do my best to forget it and ignore it. Because I am a very simple person, and having that kind of stuff in my brain is just going to weigh me down. So when I think about Galar, I don't think about how much I hate Dynamaxing, and how much I hate that Charizard and Gengar have 95 forms, and some of my Pokemon that I like don't even have an evolution yet. That kind of stuff. Am I constantly angry about it? Yes. Is it some of my biggest gripes about Pokemon? Absolutely. But I do my best to just ignore it because then it makes me not enjoy the game. And I want to look at stuff. I'm going to enjoy that I can cook for my Pokemon in a little tent. I'm going to enjoy that I can make my little teapot fetch a ball bigger than itself. You got to enjoy the little things and ignore some of the big things so you can enjoy the overall experience.
I enjoy being able to go in and attack people with a tiny thing of whipped cream.
Yeah, I was like, sometimes, especially when you're playing a lot of third-party games and a lot of indie games,
games that literally get one shot and then they're gone.
Yeah, especially indie games and not AAA games. You gotta look for your favorite pieces out of them, because like you said, odds are you get one shot and you're done, and
maybe two.
Yeah, I was like, it's you gotta find what you like. Like when you're looking at FNAF games, for me, I love FNAF. Would I ever play the games myself? No. I think there's a lot of flaws in a lot of them. I think the later the games go on, the more flaws they get. However, I'm not going to go out and bash every single one of them. I'm going to try and find the good in all of them because I like the overall fan base.
Because there are so many broken games out there. There are so many janky games. Some games are just not fun. So I'm like, it's fine to go and to have reasonable critiques of a game because you love the series and you want it to be the best it possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
That's very different, though, from going and saying, well, we've had this for so long, we want something different because we aren't happy with this anymore. Again, that is valid, but it doesn't mean you go and therefore bash anyone who feels differently than you.
Exactly. It's just like
never right.
When we ranted about the other week with Radiant Dawn from Fire Emblem. There's so many flaws in the Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn games. So many flaws.
Remake of those games.
Huge flaws in them. However, there's also so much good.
So much good.
It's some of the best games of the series, in my opinion.
Definitely the best gameplay of the entire series.
Yeah, I was like, so you've got to... But there's people that, not as badly as other games, so they'll just tear other games apart in that franchise. They'll just tear the characters apart. Yeah, especially Fates. Tear the characters apart. Tear the games apart. I was like, I don't see why you have to get that when you get games that are of consistent high quality. They might not be... some of the later games might not compare to Radiant Dawn and Path of Radiance. Those are outliers. I can tell you, the games before it surely don't compare to it in any right story, characterization, gameplay, style.
And if you didn't play it because you don't want to get a Japanese translation or you don't speak Japanese, then that is no fault of yours.
But it's just like, Fire Emblem is just one of my strongest contenders for this theory, especially. I don't like Shadow Dragon. And I don't like, that's the remake. I don't like the game Marth is in. And Marth is
not very interesting.
The primary character of the Fire Emblem series before it came along because he was the first game. So a lot of people stand by that game and love the game. Same thing with Sonic. They stand by the old Green Hill Zone. That music,
was in our generation.
That game. And it's like, that's for you. I personally could go in and I could do like that. I could tear them apart. I'd be like, art style's ugly. Music's just bad. Gameplay's
no save
awful.
file and leave it at that.
Yeah, no save file. Awful.
How did you do that?
Tear that apart for days because I am of a different generation. But, where's the fun in that? Because now they're mad because I insulted their game. I'm mad because I'm mad at the game. Where are we off? That's why I think a lot of things, these bigger fan bases, eventually, with a Pokemon fan base, you can tell it's coming. Like, eventually it's going to collapse in upon itself, explode. The game makers aren't going to feel anything because they can profit off of new fans for a while. Pokemon's huge. But I was like, big fandoms like that, it's hard for the developers because you have millions and millions of people in your fan base who are constantly imploding on each other. So it's a very hard path to tread.
We are both artists. Art does not come out of nowhere. Art always has passion behind it. When people make these games, it's not that they're being lazy. The developers might be not innovating, but they're never doing it because they don't feel passion for what they're doing. So I don't like saying the term lazy. I don't also like it.
You have to understand, when they say developers, it's not 3 guys in a room making a game. It's a team of tons of people who all have their individual job. You could have the sound guy who, this is his passion. This is his life.
You have the guy next to him who hates his life.
And then you have someone over there who all they do is model grass. And that's her dream. Everything she's ever wanted in her life was to model these blades of grass. Like the one guy I remember our dad telling us about who did the physics and shading on Batman's cape in the Arkham games. And that was his life's work. That was the thing he was most proud of. Because only thing he did in the whole game was Batman's cape. but that's an integral part of his character.
And it changes depending on how damage you take.
He got a lot of credit for that. Because that's a hard thing to animate. It's just like, you have to imagine, like, you have to think about these designing teams. There are people up here who are making decisions. And then, but that's this big, and then there's these people down here. And a lot of times, these people get the flack, and these people feel nothing. Because these are the designers, and these are the, you know, the big guys at the top.
And maybe we are just idealists, but I'm like, I like to say, like, every time you see the Pokemon Directs and stuff like that, and they announce things about Galar, I'm like, for what it's worth, better or worse of how the game itself turned out, I never doubt for one section they weren't in love with what they were making.
I think it's...
I connect to that.
They're also, they're doing their job. And I always try to give them the credit. If I don't personally like it, I just have to remember there's somebody out there who does. There's someone out there who hates it more than me. There's someone out there who loves it way more.
So I was going to say as well as that, I'm like, I don't ever say, unless the game is fundamentally broken, which there are definitely a lot of those out there. Sonic 06, Sonic Boom, a lot of Sonic games, namely.
Sonic games.
But I'm like, there are a lot of games out there that just fundamentally don't work, or they underperform, like they promised No Man's Land. They promised the moon, and they gave you the upper atmosphere.
Here's a rock.
You know, it's like, there are games that do that, but I'm like, for, like, other games, like, Sonic Forces is a weird one for me, because, like, it has fundamentally many problems. I've played it 3 times because I love character creators.
I personally didn't like it, because I don't like the gameplay style.
So I'm like, you gotta remember that, like, and I say this with Fates, too, because I feel bad for the people online who say, Fates is my favorite title because it's the first game I played. That's fair. But yet Fates. You go online and everyone says Fates is the bane of the fandom. It's the reason Fire Emblem fell from grace. It's a trash fire. Corrin is horrible. I'm like, that for a lot of people, because a lot of people were coming hot off Awakening, which was literally the revitalization. You will, which was really literally the Phoenix rising from the ashes was Awakening. So a lot of people were coming hot off Awakening or had heard how good Awakening was, so they wanted to jump in on the next title, which was Fates. So for a lot of people, while a lot of people think it's horrible, I'm in the middle ground. I think it's great. It has some serious issues in areas, but I think it's good.
I think it's a great game.
It's a lot of people's favorite game.
Because it's one of my favorites, especially, I mean, overall just DS games, but also
a lot of people love
Fire Emblem, because it was my first one I played through all by my own, so I'm one of those people. You've played through a lot on your own.
Fire Emblem.
It was my first, I watched Fire Emblem, it's the first one that I played on my own. I made all the decisions. So, you know, I connected with the characters. And I played 2 of the 3 versions. So I was like, I thought...
And one of your favorites is actually the versions everyone hates.
Yeah, my favorite was the 3rd one, which is the least favorite of everyone's because everyone lived. And I love these characters. I wanted to see them alive.
I think that's fair.
So that's why I didn't want to see their hearts broken anymore, and I know people hate that game. So whenever I see people, like you said, bashing, I'm on the end that you see as someone outside of it, and I'm someone on the inside of it, being like, I don't like when people bash it because, you know...
I feel the same
innately, I'm going to get defensive about it, and it's going to make me sad, because I really enjoy the game. I really do like it.
Yeah. I told you I was watching this yesterday. I watched Shafrilla Productions, who normally they're on YouTube, they normally go and do movie reviews. Really good. I love their reviews. Mm-hmm. But they did a review in defense of Fire Emblem Smash, and I was literally up with them, completely on board with them, till the point where they said the thing that they thought ruined the opinion of Fire Emblem Smash characters was like, Corrin. Corrin is the evil that caused all this. If they hadn't been added to the game, Fates is a stupid game. Corrin's a horrible character. They ruined everything. It's the reason Byleth wasn't live. I'm like, that's you had me and you lost me.
Yeah, I could say that about... It's so frustrating because I could say that about so many other games, especially Smash. I can take 65% of that roster easily and be like, I hate them. I want them out of this game. Every time I fight against them, it's annoying. I hate their mechanics. I hate the way they look. I don't like the game they're from. I don't like...
Why do we have Mario and Dr. Mario?
Yeah, I was like, well, for me personally, like, I don't like 3D Mario. I only like Mario and his spin-off games. So I'm someone...
a Paper Mario.
When I look at Mario, I'm like, that's... yuck. I rather play as, I'll play as Yoshi. That's fine. I like Luigi. I don't like Mario. I don't like Daisy.
I'm still kind of
surprised. Peach is lukewarm.
That they have a Dr. Mario and not like a Paper Mario.
Yeah,
Paper Mario is at least a different character.
It is way cooler. I was like it's so relative. That's why it gets so frustrating into all the semantics and junk. It's probably Dad being like, "Hey, where are you?"
No, that's your Discord.
It's just it's so circumstantial. So that's why I hate when people get super heated on certain topics. I think it's okay to express your opinion.
Yes.
However, I think you should always leave.
There's always a respectful way to do it.
Always leave room for the opposite opinion, and that goes for anything in life, not just video games. Like, there's always going to be someone with the opposite opinion, no matter how. Even if your opinion is, I think we should stop murdering people with knives. I think killing people with knives is bad. There's going to be someone who will be like, well, it's more humane than feeding them rat poison. And you're like, that wasn't the argument. There's always going to be someone out there.
And also, there'll always be the person on the other side like, well, you're encroaching on my knife-wielding rights.
Yeah, I was like,
there's always going to be the hater on the exact opposite who doesn't want it.
So when, especially
doesn't want to talk to you.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about something as simple
as a game.
As games, where games are typically, I've also, not going to get too into this because I'll go on forever, because I wrote papers about games and the Magic Circle and Liminal Spaces.
The camera.
So many game studies. I took a game studies course. I actually took a course previously on media studies, and the guy whose papers I cited for my papers was my teacher the next year. So that's how deep we got into that. So I was like, when you're using games as an escape, as the majority of people are, why go and ruin that escape by bashing on it for other people? Some people like to escape into Call of Duty. That's their thing they use soundwide. I personally abhor those games. I cannot. I've played them. Well, that's the thing. I've played them before, so it's not like I just hate them from the outside. I played them, so I understand how they work, but I don't like them. Am I gonna go out and bash my brother because he likes to play them? No.
Yes, because he's our brother.
Yes, because I think he's annoying. But on a fundamental level, if he was just some guy, one of my friends who might like to play, am I gonna bash him for that? No. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean he should. So that's my biggest complaint, I think, with the Pokemon fan, with all this stuff. Just because you like it, or just because you don't like it, doesn't mean you need to always express it so fervently for these people. You know, sometimes people like to put stuff out there and be proud of it, so they don't need people being like, hey, I hate that, or hey, I love it. Sometimes you just, like, I know when I post it sometimes, like, sometimes you just want to post something and be like, I am proud of this. Even if no one in the world sees this, or everyone in the world sees this, I'm proud.
You know, the thing is that, speaking of my brother, reminds me of things. It's a lot of the cases is, this is something they also said with Fire Emblem and Smash Bros. Is that Fire Emblem has a lot of haters in Smash Bros. Who don't even know what the games are. They don't even. That's why they can get confused. That is the Dragon Quest hero from Fire Emblem is freaking Joker from Fire Emblem. They don't know.
When she said people thought Joker was from Fire Emblem,
I'm not kidding. People do.
Peeing myself. I was like, he doesn't even wield a sword. Like, if he had a sword, he doesn't look the same. He doesn't.
He's wearing a coat and he has a knife. Therefore he
has a gun. Fire Emblem doesn't have guns, it's all about swords!
All the people know is that they now have this easy punching bag called Fire Emblem, whatever that game series may be.
Well,
and they can hit it.
Fire Emblem is such a rant topic for us, so I think we should probably wrap up soon.
Well,
is just
I'll get to my original point in a minute.
Fire Emblem needs to be unlike Pokemon, and unlike Mario, and unlike Legend of Zelda.
Fire Emblem's pretty new to its fandom.
Unlike Sonic, you can't look at it as one linear game.
It's not.
For Mario, you have Mario, Peach, Bowser, generally your three guys, and that's the same characters across games. For many games, different iterations, different, AUs and stuff, but it's Mario is your guy, and Mario is in all these games. For Pokemon, you have different protagonists, different characters, but you typically have one or two characters who range through, and you always have the same Pokemon in every game, Sonic, you always have Sonic, duh, that's why it's called Sonic.
Yeah.
But when you look at Fire Emblem, you have a different set of casts almost every game, if not every game.
Yeah.
A lot of times you have sequels, or you have rehashes, or like Awakening calls back to older games, but every game is its own separate entity,
And while there are tropes that do tend to repeat, they're always looked at differently, and the mechanics even change slightly with each game.
Yeah, I was like, the mechanics might be the thing. It's like Persona is a good equivalent of it, because Persona, you're not going to look at Persona 4 and Persona 5 and pretend they're in the same universe. They're completely different casts of characters, so you're not going to say, well, if they brought a Persona 4 protagonist into Smash, you're going to say, well, I hate all the Persona games. They're two different characters. Just because they might hate Joker, means they automatically would hate whatever Persona 4 guy's name is, or Mikoto from Persona 3. You or Mikoto, you know, that's so overarching because those are separate games, and I think most fans are used to games such, like, the majority of games, like Mario, and, like, Final Fantasy, and Kingdom Hearts, these games that have a very linear cast, and then getting these games that and they don't know about them, so they're willing to break them down more, and think, oh, well, why are we getting all these people? And I was like, well, they theoretically would need to pull more from those universes because they have more main characters they choose from for representation.
And the thing is that this was brought in, again, I would really agree with Shifro Productions' analysis, except for the blatant Corrin hate. Yeah. Because even if you don't like Corrin, it doesn't mean blame everything on them. Anyway, because I know a lot of people don't, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But the whole thing that they came down to was the fact that it's like, most people don't understand. You gotta be weird with your neck like that?
We'll wrap it up. Last point round.
This thing is that most people have to go and be, you know, they don't understand what Fire Emblem is, essentially, when it comes down to it. Is that they go and say too much representation or stuff like that. I'm like, it's because Fire Emblem are all individual stories, so there's a different main character in every game. It's not like we go into Pokemon and say, oh, we don't want that many. No, we generally want one from each generation.
Yeah, exactly.
The other ones don't have that issue because they don't have that many main characters, technically speaking.
It's like being mad at Pokemon for bringing in more than Pikachu, Charizard, and Bulbasaur. You know, you're not going to get mad because now they brought in Lucario.
It's a different generation.
No. You're going to get mad that now there's a Greninja. No.
Well, they did, but
I mean,
that's another matter.
There were a lot of other better characters I would have chosen from first, but I understand they're choosing. But it's like, when you have, you know, 1,000 sprites to pull from Pokemon, if they pull 20 into a game, yeah, that seems pretty reasonable. Just like Fire Emblem, when you have over 1,000 characters to choose from, pulling 7 swords people isn't the best option, but it's reasonable.
You're representing essentially, like, 16 games. So, you know, you can take a couple of those out for
would I have
and stuff.
pulled a ton of swords people? No.
But that's just
the protagonists generally are swords people.
So that's just how it is. And another thing I was going to say before is, like, a lot of people don't know, like, what these series are. They're bashing on it without knowing what it is. And I don't think that's fair. And the thing is, like, our brother used to do this. He used to hate on Three Houses a lot. I was getting ready for it, and I was excited for it. And he just like, oh, this looks like a Persona clone. Oh, this. Oh, that. It doesn't look like good graphics. I don't like this. Before the game came out.
Yeah.
And even after I got it, when I was playing it, he would keep telling me about how it sucks, how it was not a good game, how it was badly performing.
Echoes was so much his favorite.
Echoes was so much better.
He loved
And then
Echoes.
He went and played the Blue Lines path, and now he thinks it's the best thing in all the Fire Emblem series. And that's what it comes down to. He was judging it from the outside based on his preconceived notions.
And I feel like
without actually trying it.
Yeah, and that very much applies to a lot of games, and I think it's going to apply very heavily to these Sinnoh remakes, pulling it all back in together.
You have to wait until you can.
Yeah, I think no matter what we want it to be, any opinion we push upon it, we've had 15 years to create.
Yeah, it's on us, or like how high our expectations are.
Mm-hmm. So it's like I think that's the biggest thing we can think about going in is remembering what they do is, you know, up to them. We can't change the course of the game.
Yeah.
And the best thing you can do is just have an open mind and an open perception going in and pull out the things you love, not pull out, well, the flower field is different. Well, I don't like that Dawn's chibi. Well, I don't like that they kept the trade rooms. Yeah. You know, like, and just pull out your favorite. Pull out, well, I love that Barry's still the same. I love that there's, you know, still secret hideouts.
Or you'd be like Ridley here, and you admire it from afar and say, well, I'm not going to get personally, because I don't really need that, or I don't want to buy it at $60.
Exactly.
But I'm not going to go and bash it as some sort of piece of crap when I've not played it. I might not be interested in it, and I might not want to spend my money on that, and that is entirely valid.
Yeah, and that's the best way to
You can't go and beat it when you don't... Like, people who are judging them now, when we literally just got essentially an announcement, it's not fair, because we don't really know what these games are going to be like, and I can't tell you how many games I've played where I originally just looked at them like, this isn't going to be that great, and I actually play them like, oh my gosh, that was so good, why didn't they show that in the trailer?
Yeah, that's a lot of games.
Yeah, there's a lot of games like that.
I think that's a good place to leave it for tonight.
Because we scheduled for next week.
We actually stayed on here for 45 minutes longer than we planned to, but that's not shocking for us.
Not really.
So our schedule for next week is we're just gonna try and restart. Talking Tuesday. Tuesday, we're gonna be more podcast format. I'm gonna see if I can get a second mic so we can be, mic'd up.
Are we gonna be doing the has been
We'll most likely be discussing.
Or are we gonna do the top 10 list?
We'll most likely be discussing Has Been because it's very recent. Has Been Hotel. We'll most likely just be discussing.
Has been a good time.
Has been a good time. Discussing lore implications.
You'll be giving your reactions off of the prequel comments you read, and
yes. I'll be doing more stuff, and then we'll be looking into from a media and English standpoint the design of the pilot,
and then probably give some of our predictions on where the series could go.
So that's what we're looking forward to. Tuesday. Friday, tentatively we're trying again to try and do the Portal 2 co-op in one sitting. Tentatively, we will most likely be late to all of them.
Hopefully not as late as this week.
Trying 7 p.m. EST. We're going to take this whole week and these next 4 days to get our internet fixed. Hopefully. And if not, check our Twitter and I'll let you know. Twitter is @MadEvilTV. It's on our offline screen if you look for it. I think the links are attached. And this will be uploaded on YouTube.
At the Maddle VOD.
Yeah. Maddle VOD for all of our VODs of our channel. And then all of our new Talking Tuesdays will be uploaded to our main channel, Mad Evil. So, that is us for tonight. We're going to go ahead and log off. I hope everyone has a great evening, morning, night, wherever you are, all your time zones. And we will see you in 4 days.
Bye, everyone.
Bye!